it's understandable for it to be there, but for the likes of Bray Hill and places like that to be really windy and gusty, like through all the gateposts and in between houses, that's very off-putting because you're not expecting it at that point.
Yeah, and the clerk of the course takes the riders' opinions very seriously. He'll take all of that into consideration. So these are the messages that we're getting from down here on the ground. But for now, back to the studio.
No decision will be rushed into, that's for sure. It never is here at the Isle of Man TT. But what a week it's been for our top three riders, Davey Todd, Michael Dunlop, and for Dean Harrison in particular, who celebrated that double win in the Superstocks.
Right side, roll on the throttle and up through the gears. The factory Honda team will be on the top step of the podium again. Dean Harrison, who now resides on this fantastic island, takes his fourth TT win and his first since 2019.
That's the fastest ever Superstock time that Dean Harrison has done. 133.6 from a standing start. That is an incredible time.
And he does the double in the Superstock class. It's his fifth TT win and the first time he's won two in 1 week.
Yeah, Dean Harrison arrived at this year's TT with 30 podiums to his name, just 3 wins though, but he's changed that dramatically this week.
Second year with the same team, he's built that relationship, he's got trust in the team and the bike, they've got trust in him, and the result of that is what we're seeing. Dean riding as well or better than we've ever seen him ride before, and certainly better than anyone else on a Honda's done for a while, so it's a really special thing to see.
I mean, 135.69 on that Superstock bike. He really came out the trap swinging, and what I liked about it was that he knew he had to do something different. You know, he was sick of being the P2 man, the P3 man, and building up that incredible amount of podiums in that many race starts, but he's a racer and there was something missing, and he dug deep and he found it.
Let's find out the latest news. Grace is with Lee.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that Gary Thompson is still speaking over the tannoy now, making a final announcement to the rest of the paddock, and it sounds like they're making the decision based on safety, which all their decisions are, that the race is looking like it won't go ahead. Although, if you hear now, there's still a ripple of applause that's going around the paddock, because I think there's an appreciation from everyone that these decisions are not taken lightly, and it's for the best interest of all the competitors and their teams, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, we were down in the middle of everything when the riders came back in, and honestly, these are firstly my friends, do you know what I mean? So we've sort of a good insight as to how the mood is, and these guys want to race and they want to win as much as anyone else on the planet. So to see them come in and be genuinely worried about the conditions, and then it's been handled in the most professional way possible, and for them to be able to have that information and then relay it back and to make the decision. And it's hard for all the teams and for the riders as well. You know, like I said, the guys really want to race, so for the fans then to have that respect to clap on that decision and understand the decision, it's yeah, it shows you what a great sport we're involved in.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Lee. Disappointment in the end, but as the guys said, there is only one decision to be made when there's any question marks about safety. Frustrating, but understandable.
Yeah, we're all gutted, but as I said before, all I can really say is I can assure you that the riders want to be out there as much or more than anyone. So if this decision's been made, I've got to respect it. As we were just off screen before, we watched a couple of chairs in the shelter of the fan zone getting cartwheel blown across the ground, so it obviously is blowing hard, and you know, they've made the decision they've had to make, and we just all have to wait till 2026 to see who's going to be the senior winner.
So the call finally made not to run the senior TT, a huge call, of course, as well, and a mixture of emotions from the riders. Let's hear from the legend himself, John McGuinness, with Lee Johnston.
I'm down here joined by the one and only John McGuinness. John, you've been coming here as long as anyone else on the grid. Conditions out there are not ideal.
No, a little bit emotional, really, to be honest. Just been a tough 2 weeks. Tough 2 weeks for everybody. You know, delays and everything's thrown out. And I think, to be fair, if you look at the positives, we've had 9 races out of 10. I think they've done really well. You know, it's been. Yeah, I just wanted to start the senior at #1. You know, #1, factory Honda. You know, will I ever get a chance to do that again? I don't know, but you know, it's the right call, I think. It wasn't. It's rideable, but sort of not raceable, if you like. I mean, it's easy down here. You're like looking at the sun's out, but it's brutal out there, and you've got 4 laps of just keeping the motorcycle on the road. And if I'd have gone out there and something had happened, it would have been bad for the whole event. And like now we can, do you know what? You know, take the positives out of what we've done the last couple of weeks, and then you know, we'll all be in 365 days, whatever it is, we'll all be basking in sunshine hopefully, and then tearing around do what we love doing.
Yeah, John, understandably disappointed, emotional, but I guess when there is doubt, there is no doubt, and that big call in the end comes down to Gary Thompson, the clerk of the course. I'm delighted to say joins us now. Gary, you've had quite a couple of weeks, but the biggest decision you ever have to make is to cancel the senior, I guess. Just talk us through that process.
We knew the weather was going to be coming in Saturday morning, early Saturday afternoon, and the indications from the Met station was that it was going to dry later in the afternoon. Knowing that the roads would be dry on time, we went for road closure at 5 o'clock, the sighting map at 6 o'clock, and then obviously the start of the senior race at 7. And the sighting lap was the important one, because obviously it gave the riders the chance to see the conditions of the course before we started the senior race.
You always try to make sure that the decision is as much as possible in the hands of the riders, and it seems like it was pretty unanimous.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I get the feedback from the riders, so all through this event they practiced and qualified and indeed raced with a southwesterly wind, but it's the first time ever with winds of those speeds that they raced in a northwesterly direction, which changed things dramatically for the riders, and that was quite evident when we had the discussion after the sighting lap. But you know, it's always good to have the feedback. Ultimately it comes down to me to make that decision.
We've had plenty of inclement weather here over the years, but can you ever remember a TT where it's been quite as unpredictable as this?
Looking at the whole weather forecast through that 2 weeks, I was thinking to myself, God, we're going to be lucky to get 10 races in here. So to be honest, I mean, I was disappointed as anybody last night when I had to call it off, but if somebody said to me on the 25th of May, you're going to get 9 races in out of 10, I would have taken that, to be honest. Yeah.
Gary, it's an unenviable task, but you've done it wonderfully well as always. Thanks for joining us.
Right, thanks, Matt.
So no senior this year then, an opportunity after the break to look back on what happened here 12 months ago. Welcome back. Let's take a look at what happened then in the 2024 Isle of Man Senior TT with Cam Donald and Andrew Colin.
One last dance on the Isle of Man for the 2024 TT. It is senior time around this classic, legendary course. 37.73 miles. Yes, it's 4 laps, not 6 this year, thanks to the weather complications, but it is still the greatest challenge in motorsport. 150.92 miles flat out. The legend John McGuinness leads us off with the #1 on the bike. Here comes his teammate Dean Harrison. 3 times a TT winner. He's got quicker a week. Last time he won the senior was in 19. He hasn't had a win this week. Can he take that extra step today? Off down Bray Hill he goes. Michael Dunlop, 29 wins for this week. This could be a record-breaking day for him if he can take the senior today. He was miles in front earlier on in the week in the Superbike race until that visor problem robbed him of a win. That was Brooks off the line, and now Davey Todd, been flying all week long, took that first TT win. He'd love to take another one today, but it is a big ask against this competition. He tucks in and heads down Bray Hill. And of course behind him will be coming Peter Hickman, the number 10, 14 wins, only one this week, but we know how good he is on senior day.
This is incredible ingredients for an absolute epic battle in this 4-lap senior this year, Andrew. You could not pick a winner out of this. We talked about the big three heading into this year's TT. Now with Davey Todd on the scene, it is the big four. It could go to any of them.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Absolutely enticing as a spectacle for everybody. Beautiful weather to finish off this team.
It doesn't matter.
Pushing it, Andrew. These riders will not win this race in the first sector, but they could certainly lose it, so they need to push absolute maximum from the get-go.
Harrison on the Honda. Harrison had that incredible run of 10 podiums, which ended when he missed it in Super Scots, I think it was, wasn't it? Now he's on the super bike and he's looking great through Gorsley.
A bike he's been riding quite successfully in British Championship of late, so he should know this machine.
Hickman. Another one here. He's so good on senior day. It's like something extra comes from Pete Hickman on senior day. He'll be pushing like mad to try and get it. And Dunlop, of course, was so fast the other day. He was so far up the road that that's got to be on everyone's mind. Will he do the same again and just check out?
Oh, checking out. Davey Todd, he was checking out the Rectorsul Bale, leaving only inches between him and the edge of the road. That's fifth gear, first lap, no siding lap. Incredible.
It is incredible, isn't it? Here comes Hickman through Gorsley as well. And we switch to the onboard.
I know Pete hasn't been as strong as he would like to be, especially in Super Sport and some of the other classes, but he always builds strength towards the end of the week, and it's the senior where it usually comes out and shows us his best.
There was 4 wins apiece between Hickman and Dunlop last year. So, look at the water on the exit of Glen Helen. They were all about that at the Matrix board at the start area, but it's quite significant, Cam, and obviously with the extra horsepower now on these compared to Super Twin earlier, just got to be a bit careful on the exit.
Yeah, absolutely. Slick tyres, camber running away, and a heck of a lot of horsepower. And these machines all putting out well in excess of 200 at the rear tyre.
Brooks into left-hand, a little bit of flames as he rolls off the front. Dunlop leads by 1.3 from Harrison, but of course we're waiting for Todd to come through, and he's 2.3 up the road.
Davey Todd, he is marked his intentions. This is an incredible first sector aboard that Milwaukee BMW Superbike. Peter Hickman,
a tenth quicker. Wow, so Hickman and Todd are pushing. We knew Todd was pushing hard from the Gorsley, how wide he ran on the exit Gorsley. But Hickman is a tenth ahead of him, so this is on.
It is game on. Rear-facing camera, Ian Hutchinson. There is James Hill and Michael Dunlop. Okay, we've got a trio on road.
Dunlop makes a move, trying to get alongside there, side by side, rolled off just to make a bit of space.
Passing between the top and bottom of the Garrow is not for the faint-hearted.
And he passes Hutchinson as well, so Dunlop is being decisive. He's siding through the traffic there. And you have to say, taking some risks as well, Cam. So we know at the front here what's the gap between. There's less than 4 seconds between the top 4 at the moment.
Well, Michael's got no choice but to push. None of these riders that want to be in contention with times being this close, including James Hillier, as he makes his way on past Hutchie on the run down into Kirkmichael.
Dunlop showing intent here, but 2.3 off. He was so quick, as we said, in the Superbike race.
Wow, okay, now we've got the 2 BMWs on road. Josh Brooks, he's been caught by Davey Todd now. How long before Davey Todd can get past Josh? Because he's not snoozing, and that will not be easy, both on extremely quick motorcycles.
He needs to get through, doesn't he? He doesn't want to get held up, as you say. Passing fast riders is hard.
And you see Pete Hickman's got clear road ahead. Can he make tracks? Well, he's got that clear road.
Looking back from Brooks at Todd now. Todd closing in. Is he going to pull a slipstream here? He's rubbed tight behind, but nowhere to go into the left-hander. Has to wait.
You can already see the amount of bugs on Brooksy's visor there, and also on the screen of the bike.
He's fully tucked in. Where is Todd? Todd is still behind, so he can't find a way through just yet. Cam, where's he going to go?
Well, we're at the end of Solby. Is he going to have a look up? Oh, wow! Oh, Ginger Hall inside. You don't often see passes being made there as well, but Davey Todd has no choice. He needs to get through.
Brooks sounded like he rolled off on the exit there. Now, whether he ran over the crest of the road and ran a bit wide, or whether he was letting Todd through, either way, he waited a long time on the throttle on the exit. Ramsey hairpin, through comes Harrison. John McGuinness 12 back. We need to wait for our contenders to come through.
Dean Harrison was super neat on that second of the official Hondas that just went through Ramsey hairpin.
Here comes Dunlop now. He's about to trip that timing line. Let's see where he is in comparison to Harrison. And he leads, but remember, Hickman and Todd behind were up the road, so he's gapped Harrison by 5.4. Here comes Davey Todd.
Sounded like Michael got a lot of wheel spin on the way up to the hairpin there. He must be pushing that Honda very, very hard. If he's got pit signals already, he knows that he's got time to make up.
Todd 5.9 in front, so Todd is 5.9 up on Dunlop. That's outrageous. Here comes Hickman. Is Hickman still going to be leading? Because he was a 10th up on Todd. We know Todd's on it. Of course, he did have that little bit of traffic trying to pass a moment ago, and Hickman leads by 2.6.
Oh, Andrew, we have an epic on our hands as the BMW breeze flames.
Here's a look at Hickman. How hard is he trying, Cam, to set these times?
Yeah, and you can see him repeating again. Oh, airborne. Ren Cullen, magnificent. He's got clear road ahead. He needs to keep pushing, getting away while those other riders are tripping each other up.
McGuinness is up at the bungalow, and we await our split time. So, Todd versus Hickman. Harrison in there. Dunlop 2. Dunlop not on the pace maybe he was on the other day, Cam. Not quite, but it's early days. Only lap 1.
It is. I've seen Michael push so hard from the get-go in most of the races this week. I'm sure this hasn't been the start that he would have liked.
We ride on board with Hickman as he heads up onto one of his favourite sectors over the mountain. He's so good up here.
Yep, he's used his tear-offs already, and he's still got a lap and a half to go.
Yeah, pit stop, remember, at the end of lap 2 where they'll take the fuel on board. Here's Dunlop. What? That's not wheel spin, Cam. We thought we had wheel spin. That sounds more like clutch flip.
Yeah, it certainly does, and that's what, as we see Davey Todd making quick work of James Hillier on the way into Windy Corner. Davey Todd, this young man is on a mission. He's had a taste of victory this week in the super stock class. He said how similar the superbike is.
It's Dunlop, Cam. Sorry to interrupt. Dunlop. The yellow flag is out, and he raises his arm because he's withdrawn from the senior TT. So Dunlop has gone 10. We thought we heard something at the exit of the hairpin. We definitely heard something at the exit of the bungalow. He will not make it 30 this week. He's going to have to wait until next year.
So with less than a lap already done, one of our top 4 favourites is out.
Yeah, down to 3 again. Hickman coming past here, passes in Hutchinson on the run down to Cragney Bar. You will have seen the line that Davey Todd laid down on the exit of the Craig just a moment ago. Oh, Hickman's wide too. If you're in any doubt how hard they're trying, yeah, Dunlop's gone. But this is going to be a scrap right the way to the end of the 4 laps. As we see Harrison past McGuinness, it'll be Harrison leading on the road for lap 2.
Here we go, here's the red bike, here's the Milwaukee machine coming down. I can see Hickey coming in. Oh, flipping heck, here's the can't see him. Josh and Hillier both together. Now you've seen over the mountain section how tough it is down there to flipping make-up time when you catch somebody up with Dave. Here you go, here's Hickey. Did you see that? A little bit of a wave down there, not quite stable. That's how hard that boy's pushing. That's what it means to him.
Hickman then leads by 2.6 seconds from Davey Todd at the end of lap 1. That is Dean Harrison that you ride on board with, the number 3 Honda. Here comes Davey Todd, who is 2.6 seconds behind Pete Hickman.
They started their second lap. The bikes will be about 10 kilos lighter, less fuel load, tyres are scrubbed in, and they've warmed up now. They're well and truly into this race.
Hickman on board, sits up, flies on the visor. Cam said already, he doesn't have any tear-offs left. Oh, and he's still pushing hard. 2 times a winner, of course, in the last 2 years. He's looking to make it a triple of seniors, which would be a pretty incredible achievement. Here is McGuinness on the number 1 Honda. That's the exit of Gorsley.
Davey Todd is not going to let Pete have it all his own way. He is charging. But I tell you what, Pete is doing his best to stamp his authority on this race early. He wants that senior trophy again.
Yeah, check out, get yourself a little bit of a gap. Can he wind it in a bit, on the second 2 laps? At this rate, definitely not. Todd is not giving him anywhere nearly enough breathing space. Hickman through the right-hander, Gorsley again, very quick through there. Harrison is up into Glen Helen. Look at that, picked up a bit of understeer in the middle of the corner there. Cameron just pushed a bit wide.
Yeah, had to stand it up a little bit, just taking extra caution over that wet section, of course. We see the lack of adhesion side there being displayed to the riders just to remind them of what they're about to encounter.
They've seen that most of the week, haven't they, with the mixed weather conditions. There's the Davey Todd line, standing the bike up before the white line, peeling the throttle on a little bit differently.
He seems so at home on this Milwaukee BMW. As I said, he's doing very well in British Superstock Championship, and this Superbike is not that different a machine.
I tell you what, Josh Brooks is having a good run here, Cam, as well, as we ride with Hickman.
And Hickman's teammate, Josh Brooks, incredibly talented rider, had his first podium here at the TT in the Super Twin race last year. Has been struggling a little bit with a few issues this week. Was strong in the Superbike race, 5th quickest at the end of practice, but threw a chain in that Superbike race.
He's 3.9 up on this man, Dean Harrison, at the minute. So Brooks is ahead of Harrison. Harrison through the bottom of Bagaro. And now Todd coming through. Oh, he's on a push. So impressive through that section, it really is.
Josh Brooks looking back, and then looking forward, bottom of Bagaro. Kirk Michael, Dean Harrison, he passed John McGuinness, his teammate, across the start-finish line. John hasn't lost that much ground. Riding well this year, had a podium in the Superstock race at the Northwest 200. Coming into this event, he never ride off the 23 times TT winner.
No, he absolutely cannot. He is a legend of this island. More than 100 starts, remember. Davey Todd. Oh, my goodness me. Look at the attitude in Hickman as well.
Now it's Peter Hickman's turn to encounter traffic. He's caught James Hillier. He needs to get past. He's leading this race. He cannot waste a second, though, because Davey Todd, Josh Brooks, Dean Harrison, they're all on the hunt.
Yeah, they certainly are, particularly Todd, as we know. And Hickman has just taken 4 seconds off him in that last sector. It was 3.9. It's up to 8.3 at Balathbridge, and this is why.
Look at that slow motion shot, just wrestling that FHO BMW out of Balagary, elbows in, chest on the tank, and flying.
So Hickman then up to 8.3. That could just break Davey Todd here once he sees his next pit board and finds out how big the gap is.
Sean Anderson, another rider going very well this year and in contention for a top 10 finish. And back to Mike Brown aboard the RSV Aprilia, also set personal best this week. And then, of course, our Manx ace, Nathan Harrison, on the other official Honda entry. But this is the man of the moment. Pete Hickman, 135.5 mile an hour from a standing start. He's on lap record pace heading into the first pit stop.
This is where he has his pit board at the side of the road. Ginger Hall into... Oh, he's dropped it!
Down!
Hickman's dropped it!
Oh my goodness!
The bike goes down the road. Where is he? Is he okay? Oh, but someone just missed the bike as well. They've come round. The engine's still running. And finally, it's cut. Where's Pete Hickman?
This is unbelievable, leading the senior TT.
He's
up
okay.
on his feet.
He's okay. That's the most important thing. He was leading the senior TT. He goes to the side of the road. As I look back at the bike, and you can see there, he's so disappointed. Wow, Cam.
So we ride on board with James Hillier. He's about to hit the scene of the accident, and he will have no idea. He's completely blind entry as you pass the Ginger Hall pub. Oh, goodness, look. Bike sliding up the road, Peter sliding up the road, and he threads a high-speed needle.
Brilliant job by him to miss both, obviously, particularly Pete. This is the onboard with Hickman. Watch this.
So Pete's driving hard off Sulby Bridge and then rolls the throttle. Oh, as he turns into the left-hander past the Ginger Hall, and he's just lost it. Bounced off the bank as James Hillier flies past. Both those riders so lucky.
Fantastic that Hickman is okay, but He is out. Look at the splits. He was the leader by 8.3 at Blackbridge, but he is now gone. Harrison shows the leader, but it won't be. It's going to be Davey Todd, and I think Todd's going to come through here, Cam, with something like a 20-second lead over Josh Brooks. Hickman goes back to the bike. Is he sure he's not going to try and carry on? He stands the big BMW up. Is he just getting it out of the way? Oh, look at him. He's sweating. Wow.
Pushes the bike off the road.
What a legend.
Other competitors.
What a
that's
legend.
what riders do here at the TT. We look out for ourselves, but you're always looking out for your competition as well. Marshals are quick to be on the scene, checking he's all right. Back to this man. Davey Todd now leading senior TT. Josh Brooks now running in second. Andrew, we are losing a favourite per lap. This is an absolutely epic senior TT race.
It is, and I think we're going to have a new senior winner. Remember that Hickman has won the last two. Harrison won the one pre-COVID in 2019. Todd only took his first TT victory earlier this week. He'd have been happy with one, but of course he's done it. He was in that fight. It's him that's made Hickman push that hard because he was there with him. So he deserves this opportunity, but we're not even halfway yet.
Now don't forget, only one pit stop. This is the first pit stop of the day, so everybody's not very fresh in the pit lane, of course. We can see in the distance there, look, here we go, Dean Harrison coming in. He's running down to his pits. He won't have a clue what's going on, I wouldn't imagine, or not the severity of it. He's pulled in just past us, just going through his pit stop there. He has a helmet change. I'm not sure why. Looking back up pit lane, John McGuinness coming in. Hey, listen, if he got on the podium, the crowd would go mental. Here he is, here's Toddy, he's the leader coming in. He's pulled up, just on the line there, no problem, everything seems okay, seems quite relaxed. You've got Josh Brush coming in, that'll be a mega podium if he gets on there, good for the team. Toddy Zeller is just getting a new visor put on by Stu Millington. The guys are cleaning the front of the bar, obviously there's quite a few flies, they're cleaning the screen as well as a new rear Metzler going in. James Hillier coming in the boots, just flicking his visor up, he's on the pit lane limiter. Toddy's there off. And then the boys will be filling him in, letting him know exactly what's happened and what he needs to do for the last 2 laps. It's going to be the longest 2 laps of his life, believe me, I've been there. When you're riding around feeling every vibration, everything going on the bike. Here we go, back in gear, no problem this time. Not like the last Superbike races, getting out the pit lane on his own, running down, and away he goes out of there. Pit lane limiter off, rock and roll. Hopefully to some bit of glory. John McGuinness going straight out after him. You can see the boys in pit lane. There's Brooks and up, away he goes. I really hope that man does get on the podium. He's out the pit lane, no problem. He's had a bit of a push. Oh dear.
Off the pit lane limiters then, and back onto the rev limiters. 2 laps to go. Welcome back to the Milwaukee Senior TT 2024. Davey Todd, this man leads, and the crowd are egging him on as he exits Gorsley with a near 20-second lead. Can he take his first ever senior win? Same event he's taken his first TT win earlier on.
Rear-facing camera, John McGuinness. That's Josh Brooks by the looks of it, closing that gap in. Up through this section. These are the fastest bikes to race around the TT course. Absolutely fire-breathing super bikes. They are so hard to hang on to. They are so physical. The cameras just don't do it justice.
Nathan Harrison, the third factory Honda rider, is in the pits.
25-year-old Manxman made his TT debut in 2022. Missed last year with injury. Back again with a big future in this event.
Mike Brown howls away on the V4 out of Quarter Bridge as Dean Harrison, first on the road, encounters those wet patches again, a little bit more carefully this time round.
Yeah, we got a fresh rear tyre on as well.
How long does it take for the rear to come in after the stop?
To be honest, it's only a couple of turns. They don't waste any time bedding the tyre in. But it's something you've got to contend with as a rider.
Todd showing us 37 up the road, but that's because this man hasn't come through. Josh Brooks is in behind John McGuinness and needs to dispatch him fairly swiftly. Look, I think we know at 20 seconds back this is now about really how Todd manages that lead, but still, where is it going to be?
Waiting for the sectors to drop.
We're not going to see it this time round. Still in P2 though, and still in behind John McGuinness. The teams will be telling them, won't they, to Ian McGuinness shifting up early again. The light's so low as well. This is the latest we've seen the senior for a long time. 6 PM race start.
Yeah, conditions are prime though, apart from that sun glare, it's nice and dry, it's cool, a little bit of warmth in the tarmac.
Look at the movement in the rear, we've said it numerous times this week, but you just don't appreciate the bumps around this place unless you get to have a little drive around it, little ride around it. We've been round Camp, taking around the car several times, and it is bumpy. Working so hard, it's so physically hard on the riders and the machines.
Brooks is through on McGuinness now, and he'll have his head down, just trying to set into the groove. For both these riders out in front, Davey Todd, Josh Brooks with a gap. These will be the longest couple of laps they've ever ridden around the TT course, just counting off the corners, counting off the sectors.
Harrison is still 9 back on Brooks. Actually, he's closer than he was, and Cam, that'll be because Brooks' stop wasn't very good. It was about 5 seconds slower, and we spotted an issue on the exit.
Yeah, he definitely lost some time in the pit stop. Looked like one of the mechanics had a towel sort of tangled around his arm or the back of the bike. They have that towel on the fuel tank for refueling as the fuel sprays out of the fuel cap. As they overfill these tanks, they have to have an absolute brimming tank to complete the 2 laps.
Yeah, luckily that didn't get caught in the sprocket. It did 1 lap of the tyre for sure before it was whipped off by a very quick thinking mechanic, and that's going to potentially give Brooks his first podium in the senior, which is an incredible achievement. He only got his first podium at all here last year.
Rob Hodgson on the SMT Honda in a brilliant 10th position at the moment.
And Nathan Harrison continues. He is P7, about 28 behind Mike Brown, but a good 12 seconds up on Paul Jordan at the splits.
I'll tell you what, Andrew, for his limited experience around this course on a big bike, really riding with a lot of maturity.
That's Sean Anderson on the 18. You just saw a quick flash off through Kurt Michael. And now we're with Dean Harrison as he begins the climb up towards the mountain section. From Ramsey through Stella Maris.
Oh, he's pushing on hard. He knows that anything can happen. He's already seen 2 of the favourites drop out. He is still one of the favourites in this race. He cannot be discounted. But this is the man at the moment that he's trying to chase.
Todd's got Harrison in his sights, hasn't he? Which is incredible, really. Harrison started 3rd. Obviously, Todd started 8th on the road. So he's closed up a fair old gap on him.
Without doubt, this is the hardest I've ever seen Josh Brooks push around the TT course. But looking smooth as you like, but he knows the race is on.
And John McGuinness. McGuinness was talking before this event about how he's done 50,000 plus miles around this course, which is a couple of times around the world on the TT course. Incredible. And here it is, the run up the mountain. 1.5-ish laps to go for Davey Todd with a 20-second lead. The team will have told him what to do at the pit stop, but it is easier said than done. What's he thinking now, Cam, the senior? You know, he's got the monkey off his back of ATT win. This is the senior. 1 chance a year, you know, 8 chances to win a solo.
He's focused right now. Davey Todd will just be focusing on catching that factory Honda in front of him and disposing of Dean Harrison as quickly as he can.
Yeah, doesn't want to get caught in any issues. It's mechanicals or traffic now are the things which are going to take him out. He surely doesn't need to push too hard. Here comes Brooks.
Oh, look at that BMW breathing fire.
Brilliant stuff, me and Cam. We still get excited by it. We still love it. This is Keppelgate. And Todd's still trying to find a way past Harrison in front, past Kate's next, and then it's the run down to the Craig. Surely that's the place to do it, Cam?
Yep, he'll want to get a good run on the drive out of Kate's, up the inside into the Craig. Look at the sun. Sun sets on the senior TT. Sun sets on TT 2024. These riders have ridden countless laps of this 37 3/4 mile course over the last 2 laps, and it's all come down to this. Just over 1 lap left to see who will take the senior trophy.
Brilliant stuff from Davey Todd. A lovely pass on Harrison in front of an incredible crowd who have surely enjoyed this. And Brooks looking to take that podium. He leans it in to the right-hander.
Will he get a pit board on the way out of this turn? No. Some of the other competitors do. It's interesting the different spots where riders will get a signal to ride on board with James Hillier also having a brilliant ride, currently back in 4th position.
He's coming towards the end of this one. 1 lap to go.
Just when the helicopter's above my head, I can hear a bit of a buzz coming. Here we go. This is your last fly past for this year. I nearly swore then. I can't stand this much longer. So, let's hope he brings that big mullet of his back home first. Back to you, mate.
We are on the final lap of the Milwaukee Senior TT, and this man for the Milwaukee BMW squad leads the race by a huge 41.1 second margin at Glen Helen. Cameron's more than doubled his lead on lap 3.
Well, it doesn't seem to be slowing him down, pushing on hard. Look at the crowd just waving these riders on, help carrying them through that final lap. They'll be digging deep, they'll be using all the last energy and the last adrenaline they've got in their systems in this final lap.
Incredible stuff. 2 weeks of brilliant action on this island. If you've never been, you must get across and experience it in person. You just saw Josh Brooks in P2. This is, of course, John McGuinness. He's 5th at the moment. In no man's land, he's some 30 seconds behind Hillier, and he's a minute and 20 up on Ian Hutchie. So in P6, actually. That's going well for Hutchie. Not the pace he would want, but good to see him finishing races after missing last year.
James Hillier, Davey Todd, he's our man over the lap bridge for the final time. His mind now will be racing back and forth. He'll be thinking about the next section of course. He'll be thinking about the possibility of standing on that top step of the podium. His mind will be racing.
Nathan Harrison. And then we've got Mike Brown and Michael Rutter as well.
Oh, the master and the apprentice.
And here is Todd. Oh, backing it in. I tell you what, he's still pushing. He's obviously feeling really comfortable, Cam. Look, the lead's gone up to 43. He is still taking time out of people with literally 13 miles to go.
Sometimes the best way to stay focused is to continue to push. All too often riders get a large gap, they back off, and that's when they make an unforced error.
Josh Brooks continues to just edge a little bit more out over Dean Harrison. Harrison is safe over Hillier. So the top 3, all pretty safe for their podium position, but this is the toughest course in the world, and there will be a little bit of time. Yeah,
elbow down, showboating on the last lap, elbow down. That's incredible. Davey Todd, I think you could almost see him smiling through that dark tinted arrow visor.
I was just going to say that surely by now he's taking it easy, but he just is not, is he? It's a massive, massive lead for this guy. It's an incredible performance. I say, just took that TT win the other day. He had to fight for that as well, which I think made it a better win, didn't he? He wasn't gifted it, he won it on the road. He fought for it, and this is going to be probably, I think it's going to be the biggest result of his entire career.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. Mike Brown. Oh, I love listening to that Aprilia, that V4. Sean Anderson now in tow, and Michael Rutter in between them.
And Nathan Harrison coming through. So good to see a Maxman on a factory Honda.
Yeah, absolutely. And just PBs, lap times and race positions. Look at the crowd just waving Davey Todd on as the miles count down. This is a sensational moment for this rider.
Look at it, look at it. P1 plus 42, lap 0. You are nearly there, and this is a popular win. The hedges are lined with people who love Todd. He's a young guy, and he's overturning the TT establishment.
Oh, Josh Brooks on the front wheel, then backing it in to Craig Navarre's turn on the last lap. This is without doubt the strongest finish Josh Brooks has ever had at the TT.
Davey Todd comes down to the final yards of 37.73 miles, lapped so many times over these last couple of weeks. He came here looking to join the Big Four. He'd been the 2 biggest names arguably on the entry list in Hickman and Dunlop to take the Superstock race. And now he's going to come down over the line. His second ever TT win is the big one. It's a wheelie over the line for Todd as he takes the senior in 2024.
Oh, taking it in style with the stand-up wheel stand. Cross the line into a stoppie.
That's a proper one, a massive stoppie on the way into the return road. Here comes Harrison. He's going to pick up P3. So regularly on the podium here. And now comes the smoke. Look at the fans, the phones are out. This is the moment for them. Todd has won the senior in 2024. That tyre's going in the bin. Brilliant.
And Davey Todd's name's going on to the biggest trophy in motorcycle racing.
It is Todd who takes the senior TT. The Australian Josh Brooks gets a brilliant P2. And Dean Harrison finishes 3rd.
Those last 2 laps are the longest 2 laps of my life. Honestly, riding around there, short shifting, nursing the bike, but The Milwaukee BMW team have built me a fantastic machine there. Absolutely love riding it, never missed a beat. The best of pit stops. I got to give it up to the team this one.
Yeah, famous win for David Todd in the senior last year. He added to that cam with a Superbike win this year, but he will have been as frustrated as anybody not to get out in the senior.
Yeah, hugely frustrated, but now the dust is settled. I think he's happy that he's the only Superbike race winner for the TT 2025, so he can carry that on to next year and come back with a lot of confidence.
Probably the only guy who might have been a little bit happy with the fact that senior was called off was Peter Hickman, of course. Davey won races this year, Michael Dunlop won races this year, Dean Harrison won races, and of course poor old Pete was out injured, but he gets to look forward to next year and coming back.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw how much Davey's win on the Superbike TT meant to Pete. It was quite emotional for him. I think they've started that, grown that team together to see one of his bikes on the top step, even though he couldn't be there himself. But at the end of the day, I guess it's probably a little nice for Pete that another name's not going on that senior trophy, because he'll want to be putting his back on it next year.
Yeah, without Pete in the mix, all the solo races were wrapped up by Dino, Davey and Dunlop. But on three wheels, we've got a new kind of legacy building with the Crow brothers.
Yeah, we certainly do. That was incredible to watch, and I guess it was the favourites we expected to take the win, but I don't think anyone expected those Crow brothers to dominate the way they did. And we still had a sensational 7 solo races and those 2 sidecar battles, so 9 races, and we saw another 2 course records go as well. The Crows 121 now in the sidecar, and Michael Dunlop pushing the Super Twin record out to 123. So considering the conditions, it was still fast.
Yep, it was fast, it was fun, we were denied the big one in the end, but still, what a year we had here at the Alaman TT Races 2025. We will see you again and do it all again in 2026. Bye.